Life is kind of strange sometimes. You occasionally experience things you would never have dreamed you would ever experience. This is the case with this story. My life's dream was to be an artist. I've given it my best shot, and I've had some small successes along the way. I've done many things in life to get by. 49 different jobs in my lifetime. One of those jack of all trades, master of none kind of guys, I guess. Some of my more interesting jobs have been working on a track drill as a driller in an underground rock quarry, working as a radiology intern in a Kansas City hospital, working as a dental tech in the Navy with cross-training as a field medic, working as a glass painter in a stained glass studio, working as a corrections officer in a county jail, doing digital art redraw for a publishing company, working as a stagehand, you name it, and I've done it, by myself or with the crowd. I've done whatever I had to do to survive and support my family, as long as it was legal. Once, while working as a corrections officer, I was asked by a local art guild to do a painting demonstration for about 30 of their members. I was working the midnight shift at the time, and the drive to the painting demonstration was about 45 miles away. I got off at 8 in the morning, and the painting demonstration was at 9. It didn't leave me enough time to change out of my uniform. I arrived and entered the room, and there was shock and confusion on everyone's face. Seeing my opportunity for a quick joke, I announced that there was no need for concern. I was both an artist and a corrections officer, which made me a genuine con artist. I worked about 4 years as a corrections officer. In that time, I became disillusioned by what I saw. I realized that the only difference between the inmates I was working with and the staff at the jail was the inmates somehow managed to get caught. I worked for 2 county sheriff's offices as a corrections officer. I had trouble at the first one because I began to voice my concerns about the things I was seeing being done by my supervisors at the time. By this time, I was 50 years old. I was getting up there for sure. I was called into the office and was subsequently fired for insubordination. I've noticed that when you get older, insubordination's another way of saying you are getting too old. I will add here that I decided to go to police academy because I wanted to run for sheriff to clean up the sheriff's office. I was also older, out of work, and a recession had just hit. I would be paid living expenses by the state, and my tuition would also be paid as well. I attended police academy and graduated at age 54. After graduating, I worked briefly for a private prison as a van driver, transporting inmates from the prisons to various agencies in southwest Missouri. A friend of mine suggested I get a job at a county next to mine as a corrections officer. I applied and was hired. I was kind of disappointed to be working as a corrections officer again, but the county required that you live in the county to work as a deputy. Hey, it paid the bills. I was still thinking about running for sheriff, but wasn't too enthusiastic about it by this time. I am a Christian, which in some circles would make me a criminal, I guess. I decided to pray about it, and I prayed that if God wanted me to run for sheriff, someone at my job in the other county would suggest I run. I thought that was safe, as no one would. Boy, was I wrong. The next day, when I arrived for work, we were tasked with getting the federal inmates ready to be transported to Kansas City for court appearances. I was there about 30 minutes when one of the van drivers asked me if I was still thinking about running for sheriff in my county. I said I had thought about it, but was cooling to the idea. He said, "I have a message for you from one of the van drivers in your county. He said to run, and run as a member of the party your sheriff belongs to. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After we got the inmates ready for transport, I called my wife to tell her what had happened. Needless to say, I filed to run for sheriff in my county. About a week or so after I filed, I had a run-in with my supervisor. You guessed it, I was fired for insubordination. I ran for sheriff and spent much of my severance pay on advertising in a county newspaper in my area. I did not win. I came in third out of 4 candidates. I knocked on doors, attended meet the candidate meetings, you name it, I did it. The guy who suggested I run later became the sheriff. I applied for a job with him, but he more or less ignored me. The sheriff I ran against won re-election. He was later charged with stealing a zero-turn lawnmower, a $16,000 ATV, and a bunch of guns from the stolen property room. He got a suspended sentence, a $250,000 fine, and lost his job. His wife also left him. The guy who suggested I run for sheriff served 2 terms and got busted for catting around with a female deputy at a law enforcement convention. His wife also left him as well. I'm pretty much burned out on law enforcement work. My police academy certificate has expired, so I'm in no danger. My time in police academy was pretty much uneventful. I did get called out by an ex-FBI agent for driving too fast on turns at the police driving school. Now, when my wife gets on me about my driving, I tell her, "But honey, I've been to police driving school." It doesn't seem to help. I also did something a real criminal might do in traffic stop training. I placed my training weapon, which was made of heavy plastic, in the sun visor. I was on the driver's side when I was instructed to get out of the car. I leaned forward and grabbed the gun from the visor. When I exited the car, I pointed the fake weapon at the arresting officers and went pop, pop, pop. They were caught off guard. We were also tasked with clearing an empty dorm on campus. We were told we were not to block the doors with anything. I did it anyway. I placed furniture in front of the door so it would make noise when the doors opened and tell me where the officers were. We were using paintball guns as weapons. I placed a mattress on its side and placed my hat on top of the mattress facing the door. I figured their adrenaline would be running high and they would see the cap and start firing on it while I fired at them from the crack in a partially open closet door. It worked well, except when I fired at my female classmate's arm. She turned slightly and I hit her in the breast. Very painful. It's true, I did not follow the rules, but isn't that what criminals do in real life? A little side note here. While I was attending police academy, I would walk over to the campus art gallery, which featured visiting artists from across the nation. I remember thinking, boy, wouldn't it be great if I could get my paintings in here? About 3 or 4 years later, I did just that. Well, anyway, now you know why I'm considered a con artist. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.